Hey mamas, welcome back to the Birthing Bestie blog where we talk about real topics pertaining to birth, pregnancy, motherhood, partnerships, and just real life. Here on the blog, we don't shy away from talking about the hardships of motherhood. Instead, we validate you, encourage you, and welcome you with open arms. Matt is back for another partner perspective.
Hello, everybody.
I know that you missed him last month, and as promised, I brought him back. So if you guys have been following along either here on the blog or on social media, you know that October has been a new re-enrollment for the Empowered Pregnancy membership. When we were pregnant with Cooper, Matt and a couple of our friends took essentially the same childbirth education. It looks a little bit different in the membership. It's a different layout, basically designed to give you even more, no offense, than what they got. But the education and the fundamentals and foundation were the same. So we thought, what better partner perspective than this October, while we're relaunching and enrollment is open for the Empowered Pregnancy membership, to talk about what kinds of things that we talked about and learned in our childbirth education, and even more so, how we brought that into our own situation in labor and delivery.
So I think I've mentioned this a couple times in the past, but taking the childbirth education course with a couple of friends was a lot of fun. But a few things that I remember, the first thing in particular is an acronym that kind of explains the different ways you can think about options that are given to you when you're in labor and delivery. And it's BRAINS. So benefits, risks, alternatives, intuition, nothing, space. And it was kind of a running joke because we said that a lot during our childbirth education. And there were a lot of times where we couldn't remember all the names of the letters. But at the end of the day, it was a really good reminder for us to just kind of think through when you would be faced with a choice or a situation when a nurse would come in or the OB would come in, just to understand the different, you do have choices. You can sit there and think about it. You can talk back and forth if your partner is in a situation where she is still able to talk. But if you have a doula in the room, you can also bounce ideas off them. So that was kind of fun.
Sorry, not to interrupt, but also a really great process or activity tool, it's probably the best word, for talking about decisions prenatally too. Because we went back and forth for a while. I should maybe say I went back and forth for a while during pregnancy about gestational diabetes and some of the conversations and decisions and discussions around that. And I feel like maybe we didn't necessarily say what are the benefits, what are the risks, on and on, but we knew that we could cover all of those letters and words and really decide how we wanted to move forwards.
Another one that is that I wasn't aware of before the childbirth education class, and we definitely went through it in labor, was the different stages of labor. Because I guess I had a preconceived notion from probably seeing it on TV, honestly.
The Hollywood births.
Is once you're in the delivery room, it's all go, 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 hardcore pushing, screaming, intense labor. And that wasn't the case. And I don't remember them all, but the stages of labor, there's pre-labor, there's early labor, there's active labor, and there's, I think, transition.
You do know them all. And pushing.
And pushing.
Yeah.
So it's not always that intense. There's leading up to the intensity. There's water breaking. There's going to the hospital. There's still laboring, early labor and active labor. And then when transition came, pretty much knew that it was getting hot and heavy. So, yeah. But that was really, I guess, neat to learn about and then see it happen pretty much exactly like that.
That's a good point. If you are not around or familiar with the stages of labor, then you probably think it's like, oh shoot, we got to go now. And
which I still kind of thought, but
yeah, good one.
Yeah. And then another one would be just the different ways you can push, I guess, because we learned about that in childbirth education. And in our situation, I mean, Aaron pushed in a lot of different positions. I feel like standing up on the side, on all fours, on back. So there's just a lot of different ways that you can get the baby in the right position and try to push whatever's comfortable um, for the mom.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I mean, learned a lot, but those are the things that kind of stuck with me. And we saw specifically in our experience in the labor and delivery room, and it all just, I mean, again, I think I said it before, but going through that and having the discussions and talking through what can happen when it happens, you're not surprised. And I think that's huge, and not feeling overwhelmed or anxious in that situation. You can still be present and still just think, okay, this is normal. We learned about this. A lot of families go through this. Here we go.
Yeah.
So those are probably the key takeaways from what we learned and then actually what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all of the stuff that I equip families with for the Empowered Pregnancy membership. My goal, I mean, the tagline of the book is from peeing on a stick to holding your baby. We literally cover it all. So all the things that Matt mentioned and then some. But my goal is for families who have gone through this membership, who have the book, the My Empowered Pregnancy Guide, to have just about everything that may or could happen during your prenatal and then labor and then postpartum care. You've at least read about it, heard about it, learned about it, so that when and if you're going through it, it's not completely uncharted territories. Now, obviously, birth can unfold in a million plus different ways, but being able, to your point, to be familiar with it at least, so that if it is coming to fruition and it's something that you're handling or dealing with in the delivery room, you're not completely blindsided or like out of left field. And you brought something up earlier that is a really great segue to talk about the Empowered Pregnancy membership, because we did the childbirth education class back, almost 3 years ago now, with some friends, with some good friends. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but had we have just done it, you and I sitting down, like, we would have gotten through it, but maybe things wouldn't have stuck as much as learning alongside other people.
I would agree.
I feel like there's a huge community component to this phase in life in general. I mean, especially for moms and pregnant people who are going through this, being able to find that common ground with other pregnant women and people who are going through it is so important. But even for dads, I mean, I think probably brains wouldn't have stuck in your brain if it wasn't a little bit of a competition with Jeremy, our childbirth education buddies, to know. And so I think it's being able to do things like that in community. One, it sticks a little better. You retain the information a little better. It's a little more fun, but it also sets you up for that community and those conversations long after the class.
There was a lot of times too where we thought that we were going to ask a dumb question and come to find out that the other person was thinking the exact same thing and didn't want to ask it. And I would venture to say that happens a lot, because it's a lot of unknowns, especially if it's your first birth experience. You don't know what to ask, but you can also get out in the open how you're feeling. And I feel like you're going to get validated by a lot of other people feeling the same sort of way. So that was also cool.
Yeah. I always say you don't know what you don't know, especially if it's your first time going through it. You don't know what to ask, so just ask it all. There's no wrong questions. There's no silly questions. You don't know. And it's important to have those conversations and know a little bit more of what to expect. And I think being in community is just a huge aspect of this phase of life we're in, and it helps make everything a little easier when you have people to do things with, in my opinion.
Lovely.
So that's what I really try to foster in the membership, and specifically in the community portion of the membership. So if you or your partner want to be like Matt and know all the things and feel a little more prepared for your journey to parenthood, whether it's your first child or your fifth, the Empowered Pregnancy membership is the perfect fit. Truly, it is customizable intentionally to you and your family, your desires, your wants. So, October enrollment is open, and I hope that you'll join us. And one more time, what is brains?
Benefits, risks, alternatives, intuition, nothing space.
Remember it. We're talking about it in the membership, so come join us. So remember, enrollment is officially open this October. We have some really amazing partners joining the membership, and specifically the community starting this month. If you're not ready to join us in October, doors are always open and you are always more than welcome. And if you feel like you need a little extra support in any portion of your parenting journey, feel free to reach out. You can always slide into my DMs on Instagram at ebbirthing or drop me an email at ebbirthing@gmail.com. All right, mamas, until next time, sending love and parenting patience your way.